I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Stephanie White was absolutely livid after what happened to the Indiana Fever last night, calling out the referees in front of everyone and saying what we have all been thinking, as the Fever lost by just 2 points to the Liberty but were clearly robbed thanks to a minus 31 free throw discrepancy over recent games and a blatant no-call on Caitlin Clark in the final seconds that could have tied the game, with White not holding back and questioning whether the WNBA system even works anymore. So, in this video we will share the highlights, the replays, and all the receipts against these WNBA referees. It is cheating plain as day, and while the haters will say she got locked up, that is only true if you were fouling the whole game, because the corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won. So picture this.
Holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating, it's plain as day. The haters will say she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game, but I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won.
The Fever going toe-to-toe with the defending champions, trading baskets like heavyweight fighters, with Aaliyah Boston absolutely unstoppable, dropping 27 points and grabbing 13 rebounds, while Lexi Hull stepped up huge in her first start of the season, putting up 15 points when her team needed her most, making this championship-level basketball from Indiana. But something felt off from the opening tip, because the whistles were not coming when they should have, as every time the Fever drove to the basket they met hard contact that should send players to the free throw line, yet the refs kept their whistles silent for Indiana while the Liberty got call after call, and the numbers do not lie because New York got to the free throw line 32 times while the Fever only had 15 attempts, which is more than double the free throws for the Liberty, and in a game decided by 2 points. The disparity is absolutely massive because you cannot win games when the other team gets twice as many chances from the charity stripe.
Here. 3 off target, batted a lot, bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense, goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
Here is what really showed the Fever's potential, as they outscored the Liberty by 17 points in the third quarter, a 17-point advantage against the defending champions that represents complete domination, and the Fever proved they could hang with the best team in the league when given a fair chance, with Caitlin Clark fighting through everything they threw at her, including double teams, physical play, and constant pressure, yet she still managed 18 points and 10 assists, while every drive to the basket met with contact, but those refs kept their whistles in their pockets when Clark got fouled, and meanwhile the Liberty players were getting calls on much lighter contact on the other end.
No pass shot possessions for New York. Clark, step back 3. Oh, she hit it! And draws the foul! Welcome back, Caitlin Clark!
The Fever actually led by 12 points in the fourth quarter and had this game won until the officiating took over, as the Liberty mounted their comeback not just through great basketball but through a series of favorable calls that shifted the momentum completely, with Jonquil Jones scoring 14 points in that final quarter for New York as she was aggressive, attacking the rim and getting the calls that the Fever players were not getting on the other end.
Third quarter was really, really good. Obviously, if we won the quarter by 17 points, that's what put us in a position to have a chance to win. So essentially, we really played one good quarter of basketball and lost to the defending champions by 2. So I guess that's positive. A lot of ways to continue to get better.
And the contrast was obvious to everyone watching. This was not about basketball skills anymore, because the Fever had proven they could outplay the Liberty, and this became about getting a fair shot from the officials, as the stage was set for heartbreak with Indiana playing championship-level basketball but fighting an uphill battle against biased officiating, where every possession mattered, every call mattered, and the refs were about to decide this game in the final seconds in the most controversial way possible. Here is where everything fell apart, and you are going to see exactly how the refs stole this game from the Indiana Fever, because down by 2 points with 9 seconds left on the clock, Caitlin Clark gets the ball for what should have been the moment that tied the game, as she catches the ball up top with everything on the line while Natasha Cloud makes clear contact with Clark several times before, during, and after the play, and you can see it on the replay because the contact is obvious and it is the kind of foul that gets called 100 times during any normal game, but the whistle never comes and there is complete silence from the officials who just let it
Be off target, batted a lot, bodies on the floor. Clark 1-on-3 trying to split the defense, goes into traffic and reverses it off the glass. And a fearless Caitlin Clark here.
Watch how she uses her body to shield the defender. That's just beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
go. The replay shows obvious contact that should have sent Clark to the free throw line for 2 shots that could have tied the game and sent it to overtime, but instead of getting that chance, the Fever watched their season record drop to 2 wins and 2 losses, as Clark gets fouled with no call and the game is over, and that is how their season changes in the worst possible way, because the refs messed up 3 calls in the last 3 possessions of this game, starting with Dana Bonner getting.
Refs messed up 3 calls in the last 3 possessions of this game. First, DeWanna Bonner gets absolutely destroyed, no call.
Absolutely destroyed with no call, but that was not the only controversial call because 2 plays before that no call on Clark, the refs missed a clear foul on Bonner who had a wide open layup and got hacked hard, causing her to miss the shot because of the contact with no whistle and no call, and right after that missed call, Lexi Hall gets whistled for a phantom foul on Sabrina Ionescu when Hall was in perfect legal guarding position without reaching or grabbing, playing textbook defense. Yet
Sabrina Ionescu makes the
the refs called it anyway, and then Ionescu makes the contact which was minimal at best but somehow gets a whistle when Bonner getting hammered does not, and those free throws from Ionescu became the game-winning points that should not have existed, as she makes both shots and puts the Liberty ahead with points that came from a call that never should have happened, while the Fever are getting no calls on much more obvious contact on the other end. 3 crucial calls.
There's 1 foul, there's 2 fouls, then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time on her arm. It's cheating, it's plain as day. The haters will say, she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game, but I'm going through this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still
Calls in the final moments all went against the Fever and all changed the outcome of this game. First the no call on the Bonner foul that could have given Indiana the lead, then a phantom call on Hall that gives the Liberty free throws and the lead, and finally no call on Clark's drive that could have tied it, and this is the evidence everyone is talking about because there was clear bias that cost Indiana the game, and you cannot have this level of inconsistent officiating in the final seconds of a close game, as the Fever earned the right to have this game decided by basketball, not by refs who kept their whistles in their pockets when Indiana needed calls most.
You talked about the way that the game has been officiated for you guys. How did you see the foul that was not called, or a lack of foul, on the Bonner play, and then follow it up by Lexi Hall getting called for the foul?
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path. It is what it is. We have to be able to play through it, but at the same time, I feel like it's really disrespectful.
I've never seen a coach this angry, and Stephanie White had every right to be furious after what happened to her team, as White walks into that press conference knowing her team got robbed and she is not staying quiet about it, with the raw emotion on her face telling the whole story before she even opened her mouth, and then she drops the bombshell that everyone needed.
Right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can.
To hear about a -31 free throw discrepancy over the last few games, with 31 fewer free throw attempts than their opponents, as White makes it clear this is not just about one bad call but about a pattern of officiating that has been going against the Fever for weeks, and she calls the no call on Clark in those final seconds exactly what it was by saying she thought she got fouled, and it is pretty egregious what has been happening to them, which is coach speak for absolutely ridiculous because White does not throw around words like that unless something is seriously wrong with how the games are being called.
Out. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking.
But here is where White really goes after the WNBA system, as she directly challenges the league's grievance process by saying there is a system to make sure they can send stuff in and communicate their grievances, but she does not know that she ever feels like the system works, basically saying the league does not care when teams complain about bad officiating and the system is broken. And this is not just frustration talking but a coach protecting her players from systematic unfair treatment. As White specifically mentions how aggressive her team has been attacking the rim and points out that the Fever should be getting more calls, not fewer, because they are playing the kind of basketball that usually draws fouls, but the refs are not calling them. White,
given your perspective on the first 4 games, is that something you've already tried to be proactive with the league, or you'll reach out to them and let your feelings known?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a system to making sure that we can send stuff in and communicate, our grievances, so to speak. I don't know that I ever feel like the system works. We're not looking for a change. We're just looking for consistency. I felt like the second half of Atlanta, at least at our place, was at least consistent. Right, and that's the thing that we're looking for.
Its raw emotion shows how deep this problem runs, because this is not about one game anymore but about respect, as her team is not getting the respect they deserve from officials, and the Fever are fighting an uphill battle every single night because the refs treat them differently than other teams, and White's courage to speak out publicly reveals the pattern of bias the Fever has been facing all season, because most coaches stay quiet about officiating due to fear of getting fined, but White does not care about the consequences and is going to protect her players and call out the league when necessary, so this press conference will be remembered as the moment someone finally said what needed to be said, as White put the WNBA on notice that the officiating bias against the Fever has to stop because her team deserves better, Caitlin Clark deserves better, and the fans watching deserve games decided by.
Side, you could say you're 2 possessions away from being 4-0 in these games. Do you look at it from both sides? Like, here are the positives of this, and then here are the things we really want to work on?
Yeah, and that's probably what's frustrating about it too. Is like we are 2 possessions, or from being 4-0, but there was so many little areas in this game that we could have improved. Like our defense again to start the game was poor, and we got to find a way to come out with more energy, be unable to guard, and yes, they present a very tough challenge when all 5 of them can make threes, and they're setting inverted ball screens, things like that. It's a challenge, but you got to find.
Basketball, not by refs who keep their whistles silent when Indiana gets fouled. Here is the twist nobody saw coming, as this heartbreak might be exactly what the Fever needed to become a championship team, because Clark herself said they are 2 possessions from being 4-0 after the loss, and think about that for a second, because 2 possessions is how close this team is to being undefeated right now, and the adversity is happening early in the season when there is actually time to learn and grow from it, as Clark knows the team is still figuring things out and said it. Feels like
consistency is definitely where we can be a lot better. Feels like every game we've really only put 2 quarters together. We're kind of waiting for that, 4 quarters of really good basketball, and I think it's going to be a learning curve. This group is new. We haven't played a ton together, so but that's what's going to have to happen if we want to beat the really good teams in this league. Is you got to find a way to put together 4 really good quarters. There's going to be runs. That's basketball. They're going to go on their runs. We got to be able to find a way to stop them and then respond. So I think that's an area we can certainly.
Like every game, they have really only put 2 quarters together, which is the kind of honest assessment that shows this team understands what they need to work on. Aaliyah Boston's dominant performance proves this team has multiple weapons beyond Clark, as 27 points and 13 rebounds against the defending champions is not just good but elite-level basketball.
I think for us, we just have to make sure that we're playing consistent throughout the whole game. It's pretty easy to just say that our, not getting over the hump in that 4th quarter, but I think our start, in that 2nd quarter, they outscored us by a bit, so we have to make sure that our start is better so that when we do get to the 4th quarter, it doesn't have to be this close. But I mean, it was competitive basketball. We dug ourselves in a hole to start. We got back in it, tied the game up. Sometimes the ball just doesn't roll your way, but I think if we prioritize the way we start, it's going to be better for us in that.
And Boston showed she can carry the scoring load when Clark has an off night, which championship teams absolutely need, while Lexi Hull stepping up in her first start with 15 points shows the depth that championship teams also need, as Hull proved she belongs in the starting lineup and gave Stephanie White another weapon to use, and when players can step up like that it makes the entire team better, because even with Clark's shooting struggles the team stayed competitive against the defending champs, leading by 12 points in the fourth quarter and outscoring New York by 17 points in the third quarter, proving this team can beat anyone when they put it together for 4 quarters. This early season fire is creating a team that will not back down from anyone or anything, because getting robbed by the refs in a close game builds character and creates mental toughness, as the Fever now know they can compete with the best team in the league even when everything goes against them, and the controversy is uniting fans.
You accept officiating without letting it, I guess, affect how you go about and execute the rest of the game.
Yeah, when it comes to accepting, it's like we don't really have a choice because they're going to call what they want to call. And so for us, I mean, even for me, I miss some of those easy around the rim. I think for me, I have to put them in the rim for just post talk. And we just have to finish through contact. If we don't get it, we don't get it, but we have to give ourselves the best opportunity to get that back.
And creating in us against the world mentality that championship teams feed off, because when everyone feels like the league is working against you, it brings the team together as players fight harder for each other, coaches get more protective, and fans get louder and more supportive, and every championship team faces adversity during their journey, but the Fever are getting theirs out of the way early in the season instead of waiting for the playoffs, learning how to handle pressure situations and how to respond when calls do not go their way. So by the time playoffs arrive, this team will be battle-tested and ready for anything the league throws at them, as these early games are teaching them lessons that matter when championships are on the line. The refs can try to stop them, but they cannot stop what is coming for the Indiana Fever, because this team is building something special and no amount of biased officiating will hold them back.
A couple of days to get some work in practice, and we'll use that as an opportunity to look at some of those things. We've got to continue to do what got us here. We got to move the ball. We've got to hit singles, not make home run plays. You know, we have a tendency to try to make the home run play all the time, the dagger or the play that gets the momentum going, or, you know, and it doesn't need to be that way. We can make the easy plays. So those were more of the communications, keeping our intensity level, you know, on both ends of the floor. You can't relax. I mean, the margin for error when you're talking about playing championship caliber teams is so small.
As you saw what happened when they got angry with Aaliyah Boston dominating, Lexi Hull stepping up, and Caitlin Clark fighting through everything they threw at her, while in the previous game against Atlanta you saw the amazing contributions of Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and even Darius Dantas, and the controversy has created a unity between fans and players that championship teams need, because every bad call makes them stronger and every missed whistle makes them hungrier. So get ready for 2025, because the Fever are about to show everyone what happens when you fuel a fire.